Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Toku Topics. Today I'm finishing my reviews of the Deluxe Wave 1 assortment. So a couple of days ago I took a look at the In Space Blue with the Galaxy Glider, which is not a new figure, just a new, vehicle piece. But this is a brand new figure, and this is a figure that was originally supposed to be in a second wave of monster figures alongside the good old Mighty Morphin Guy figure I took a look at a couple of months ago, but that wave ended up getting cancelled. However, the figures were far enough along that they were able to still be released in the line. Guy being released by himself, and Pirantishead being kind of reconfigured into this brand new deluxe line, even though it's exactly how it would have been if it was released in the normal Monsters wave. I think just the numbers changed on the back because of that and stuff, and his code name changed and everything. But besides that, this is the Mighty Morphin Pirantishead figure, our first Season 2 monster. So we've had a bunch of Season 1 monsters. We've had Pudgy Pig, Guy, King Sphinx, and of course, I think that's it. Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking there was a fourth one, but obviously like Goldar and stuff like that. But this is Pirantishead from Season 2, that kind of debut monster of the season from the Mutiny 3-parter. He's the first monster that's fought by the Thunder Megazords. That's a very significant thing there. He's Lord Zedd's first monster, so he's definitely a big fan favorite one. He's part of the Ju 2 footage and stuff like that, so he's definitely an important one, definitely one worthy of getting a Lightning Collection release here. So overall, the box is exactly what you would expect it to be. It has the Tom Welling artwork of Pirantishead, which I think looks really, really good. I think that Tom did an excellent job of capturing like the fins and all that kind of stuff that he's got going on, and the teeth and everything. And yeah, I think this figure looks really good. So kind of just get more looks at the views of the box. Obviously, this artwork doesn't really work as well on the side profile as other artworks do, because it definitely gets completely cut off by his eye and everything. And on this side, you pretty much just get a fin. And on the back, you get the 3D render. You see you have his little fish nunchuck thing. And you see all the different fins and everything like that. I think there's a little bit of assembly required. I think it does actually say that. Yep, adult assembly required. I am an adult, so I definitely think I can figure this out. Yeah, look at him in there. I think he looks pretty good. He's definitely going to still be too big, like the other monsters are. But overall, I think this is going to be a pretty good one. So, yeah, let's go ahead and crack it open. There's the barcode if you need that. And, yeah, let's do it. Alright, so here is Pirantishead out of the box and everything that you get with him. And this figure is pretty cool. It definitely looks very great. I think Hasbro killed it with the sculpt on this. My only real problem with it is its scale, which is something I'm going to say in every single one of these monster videos. I still think that the monsters are too big. I know there's a lot of people who also argue in favor of the bigger scale of the monsters. I cannot agree with that. That's just not how big they are in the show. But it's still good. Obviously, it's going to tower over the Rangers a little bit. We'll compare it with the Rangers. We'll compare it with Guy. And we will compare it with the Walmart Thunder Megazord retro figure, since they kind of goes together. But that's just going to be a thing in all of them. I've said it in the Monsters videos before, and I'm going to keep saying it until Hasbro stops doing it. But this is more of like a 7-inch figure than a 6-inch figure, but it's still very good. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sculpting detail of this guy here. Because I love just the paint that they got, like that red paint on the fins on the top, which is kind of almost like a mohawk fin. I just love how it kind of, that fades into that red gradient on there. It just looks great. I love kind of the sort of dirty look that he has, because I feel like that's pretty realistic. It wouldn't be a nice, shiny, clean white on the rubber on the suit, and you don't really get that here, and I like that. I really also like that, I guess these are these his gills or something, but I love, or his ribs, that kind of fade into the more, dirty white that we have there. It just looks great. And you still get that red gradient on the fins on his arms. And, yeah, it's so good. We're going to get to that tail in a second, because I cannot wait to show that off. But there's one little thing we have to assemble with him, and that is his back fin. So this just comes out of the box as a separate piece. You can't see it in the box because it's behind the Tom Welling artwork in there. But just kind of like what we had to do with Pudgy Pig, where we had to put his mohawk on. You just have to get the fin in there and just rest it in there, and it will stay pretty good. I mean, it can come back out, but yeah, that's pretty good. And it's obviously just so that way he could fit in a normal box, and they wouldn't have to have made the box thicker to accommodate for that. But it looks great. Obviously here, the big head is going to limit his articulation. You're not really going to get much out of it. I mean, he's on a regular neck joint, but you're really going to have to use more of his torso joint to get more of the articulation out of it. But his mouth can open, which is really cool. So you got the tongue and all the teeth in there. Very nice. So, because let's see, how wide can it open? I think maybe about there. So that looks awesome. Because basically it's the neck joint, and like this piece is put on the neck joint, and then this is put on top of the actual ball joint. But everything else, I mean, is pretty nice and easy to articulate. You know, nothing too crazy in the way of articulation. He just comes with a fist and a holding hand on, and then of course he has swappable hands, but he still has like the double jointed elbows and everything. We already kind of took a look at the torso joint, but they have a nice click there at the waist, which I've always liked that joint, so that is nice. Like, it's just a really nice looking figure. And take a look at his legs. He still gets some more fins there, and then in the box he's like this, so he can fit, so all you have to do is just move his feet up when you take him out of the box. I kind of wish that joint was green to kind of not break it up as much, but it's not that big of a deal. You still get, also I love like that, you know, fade out of the green as well. Yeah, he looks really good. Here's kind of a bigger view of him, you know, his whole body shot there. But yeah, I'm definitely a fan of this. Definitely the wave winner of the deluxe waves, for the first wave at least, because I mean TJ's just a repeat figure. So, but if we're talking about articulation, let's check out this tail here, which to see how, oh yeah, okay, so that bends there. And in the articulation, the tail is a little bit articulated there. Doesn't really move there, but you can sort of, it's sort of on a ball joint, but you can move it a little bit there. I think that's maybe about it. But like I said, it breaks up there, it breaks up there, and then it's just stuck there on his butt. But then you do get a little bit of movement there. I kind of wish that it could move a little bit better than this, but it's something. So I will give it that. But it can do that. So accessories wise, we'll kind of just have him in this. See, if you kind of have him in a more, you know, bent pose, kind of kneel down a little bit, he's probably going to scale pretty nicely with the Rangers, which we'll take a look at in a second. But accessory wise, you get two hands for him. So you get just two splayed open, kind of grabby claw hands. So nothing too crazy there. You do get his weapon, which is like this fish nunchuck thing. So they're very nicely sculpted. I do like that. They kind of have, I mean, like, it's not really like a paint wash or anything, but they just kind of have a nice texture to them, which I think looks really nice. And this is just on a bendy piece of rubber. You're not going to really want to stretch it out too much, but it's kind of like the nunchuck power daggers we got with Michelangelo in the TMNT sets. So it's kind of something like that. Now, for his effect piece, this is an effect piece that Hasbro is really starting to like to use a lot. So this is a repeat of the staff effect piece that we got with Carlos in Space Black back in Wave 9. You can still see the hole for the lunar lance, which is up there, but it's just done in like a translucent blue now. And they kind of want you to use this as like a kind of like a swoosh if you're moving the nunchucks around or something like that. Not exactly sure how they want this to be used. I think maybe you kind of tangle it around the like, I don't know, the fin of the fish there, so it's kind of like a swoosh when you're moving it. Something like that. And it will just fall off, but you know. Something like that, I think, is kind of what they're going for. But, yeah, not the, you know, the most crazy Lightning Collection figure, but he's still very good. So let's kind of bring in, just kind of moving his joints a little bit. Very nice. I, you know, just took him out of the box, but he doesn't feel too stiff or too tight anywhere, so that's nice. But let me stand him up a little bit more straight, so that way I can compare him in his actual size to some other Lightning Collection figures of the sort. So we'll put him back there, and we'll bring in the good old Mighty Morphin Eye guy, which was technically the last monster that we got. So we'll kind of have him standing up. Pulled him off of my display, so I had the eye effect in there. So obviously you can tell that he's essentially the same size as Eye Guy. Eye Guy might be a little bit taller than Pirantishead is, but still. So these were the original two that were supposed to be our second wave of monsters, following King Sphinx and Pumpkin Wrapper. But they ended up not being released together. They ended up being released separately, but I'm still happy that we got them. So these two were leaked for a very long time before they were officially revealed, and I'm happy that they made it out. Unfortunately, the listings that we had for Monsters Wave 3, which never got past the codename phase, apparently have been canceled, because we haven't heard anything about them. I just assume that these ones exist because they were probably far enough along when the first Monsters Wave did so badly, so they probably just realized, well, we have to release these because they're far enough along, or restructure them in the way that they did. So Eye Guy getting his own random release in the fall, kind of in a sort of wave with the standalone Pudgy Pig outside of the lunchbox, and then they just threw Pirantishead into Deluxe Wave 1. And I think they made a good choice on that, because Eye Guy, I've really warmed up to the Eye Guy figure, even though I definitely think that his proportions, I think he's a little too stylized. I just think his proportions are pretty bad. In terms of the scaling and everything especially, but I think he's just a little bit of too thick of a figure, and without the black wash on it, he just looks very cheap. So I think Pirantishead was the better choice to kind of introduce your deluxe line. He feels a little bit more substantial. He feels a little bit more worth the more expensive price than iGuy does. But I have grown to really like the iGuy figure, so I'm not trying to dig on it too much because I really do like this one. It's been on my display for months. And I don't know if I'm going to have room for both him and Pirantishead, but we'll see what I can do. And then here he is in scale, or next to the metallic Mighty Morphin Red, which is just kind of my default Ranger that stands on the front of my display at this point, and I use for comparisons. So, yep, definitely towers over that, which is definitely not what I like, but I mean, it's obviously what I expected. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the scale. This one isn't terrible. Pudgy Pig is still the best one in terms of actually being a little bit more show accurate in its scaling, but like this is still not great. So there's that. And then finally, I want to compare it to the Walmart Retro Megazord, which is not a terrible scale. Thank you so much, Motorcycle Guy Outside. I'm sure you enjoy your cameo on this channel. But the Thunder Megazord is not terribly scaled with this guy. You can kind of have them fight. And like I kind of did earlier, if you sort of have Pirantishead kind of scrunched down a little bit, I think it's definitely a little bit better. Kind of have them sort of on like an even eye line right there. So I do like that. We'll kind of just have him, hitting. Technically, this is more interaction than the Thunder Megazord ever had with Pirantishead, since he was from Ju 2 footage, so he was actually defeated by the Dino Megazord, and they had to do all the weird splicing that they did with Season 2 to make it look like he was defeated by the Thunder Megazord. So technically, this shot right here is more accurate, or more of what they were trying to get the point across of, than what you ever saw in Mighty Morphin Season 2. But yeah, at least it's kind of fun that we have that here, and this nice Thunder Megazord figure. But yeah, overall, I can recommend Pirantishead. I'm not sure if he's still in stock on GameStop. That's where I got mine. It's also where I got TJ with the glider. But this is our first monster in the deluxe line. Now, according to listings, we should be getting a monster in the second and third waves alongside a Ranger with Vehicle Pack again. But I don't know which monsters we're getting because this was the last Mighty Morphin monster that we had from the original Monsters Wave 2 leaks, and we never had any more monster leaks after that. But they should be both from Mighty Morphin, so I'm not sure which iconic monsters they're going to do next. There's so many to pick from Season 2, but especially from Season 1. I would also love some Season 3 villains if we could get some of that. But overall, I like Pirantishead. I think he's a good figure, and I think he's definitely one of the better ones of the monsters. I think him and Pudgy Pig are definitely kind of like the best ones that Hasbro put out there, with kind of like King Sphinx and I guess maybe even iGuy, even though I really do like that figure, kind of being the worst ones. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below on the Mighty Morphin Pirantishead figure. Are you picking this one up? Do you skip the monsters? Do you just wait for a sale on all of them? Because most of them do go on sale eventually. Are you a big Mighty Morphin Season 2 fan? So you definitely want to pick this up to go with Zed or Z-Putties or the Thunder Megazord figure like I showed off. Or whatever you guys want to talk about. I want to hear it down in the comments below. So until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or at LightningPR, and I'll see you all later.